Free, free Palestine.
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 Brothers and sisters, I wish I could say in one sense, I'm glad to be here, but considering what is before me, it tears at my heart to have to be here today knowing that my country, the United States of America, is a partner to genocide in Gaza, is a partner in the genocidal war against the Palestinian people. We join with you today, with all the organizations here today. First of all, I want to call on the City Council of New Brunswick to pass a ceasefire resolution now. I call on the Board of Commissioners from Middlesex County to pass a ceasefire resolution now. I call on the state legislature of New Jersey to pass a ceasefire resolution now. I call on Congressman Pallone. I call on Senator Cory Booker. I call on Senator Robert Menendez. And I say to them that blood is on your hands. You are complicit in this genocidal war. And I call for an end to all U.S. military aid to Israel now. I stand here today just blocks away from Rutgers University on that side of town, and Rutgers University on this side of town, and Rutgers University on that side of town. It is time for Rutgers University to divest its funds from companies and businesses that are doing business with the Israeli apartheid regime. We demand a permanent, sustained ceasefire in Gaza, because what is going on there is genocide. 28,000 killed, 67,000 wounded, 8,000 of people missing, perhaps buried under the rubble, 19,000 children orphaned, half of the population, maybe as many as 2 million people displaced. This is not a war against Hamas. This is a war against the Palestinian people, and we want an end to it now. We want justice. We want a free Palestine. We want a ceasefire. But we don't just want a ceasefire. We want an end to the occupation. We want a ceasefire. But we don't want just a ceasefire. We want an end to the siege in Gaza. We want a ceasefire. But we don't just want a ceasefire. We want an end to Israeli apartheid. We want a ceasefire, but we don't just want a ceasefire. We demand the right of return to the million of Palestinian refugees to their homeland. We want a ceasefire, but we don't want to tell you that are here right now that you are doing the right thing. There are people who are saying we shouldn't protest. There are people who are saying we shouldn't raise our voices. We shouldn't engage in civil disobedience. We shouldn't engage in demonstrations. But I'm here to tell you that it is always right to stand up for suffering humanity, and that we will continue to march and to demonstrate. Nearly 50 years ago, I was a student right down the road here at Princeton University. And at that time, there was a worldwide movement going on calling for the abolition of apartheid in South Africa. And students at Princeton's campus in 1974, we began to organize. And we organized an organization, a student organization, called the People's Front for the Liberation of Southern Africa. And we called on Princeton University to divest its funds from companies that were doing business with the apartheid regime. But you know, one of the things I learned when we began to study apartheid was that the Zionist regime in Israel was aiding and giving support to the racist apartheid regime in South Africa. The Israeli regime was giving nuclear technology to the racist apartheid regime in South Africa. That should not surprise anyone. Didn't we hear just this week one of the members of Netanyahu's cabinet said we should drop an atomic bomb on the people of Gaza? Well, that same regime gave nuclear weapons technology to South Africa. It helped to train the apartheid army of South Africa. It helped to train the police in South Africa. But we as students continued to fight. And even though they said we wouldn't win, Nelson Mandela was freed from prison in South Africa. Apartheid was brought down in South Africa. And I say today, in the same way, ultimately, Israeli apartheid and Zionism will be brought down, and the Palestinian people will be free. Brothers and sisters, I stand right here under a statue of a slave master. This country was founded on slavery. This city was founded on slavery. This town was founded on slavery. That university that's over there and down there and over there, that university was founded on slavery and oppression. And those people that had us enslaved for 245 years, do you know what they said at the beginning of their settler colonial project? They said black people would never be free. The colonial law said, I quote, that those born to mothers who were enslaved would themselves be enslaved in perpetuity. That meant forever. But our people struggled against the enslavement. We fought. Look, what would they have called Nat Turner? Nat Turner led a slave rebellion. He killed his slave master. He killed his overseer. They killed other slave masters. They would call them terrorists. But they were not terrorists. They were freedom fighters. And those who resist apartheid in Israel and those who resist occupation, they are not terrorists, they are freedom fighters. And I will stand by that. I will stand by that. It is the right of oppressed peoples to rebel. Look, they called the African National Congress terrorist, Nelson Mandela, who was freed because of a movement, who was elected president of South Africa in 1996, they did not take Nelson Mandela off of the official terrorist list until 2008. So one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. And I say today, I stand here in solidarity with the struggle of the people in Gaza. Their fight is my fight, and my fight is their fight. It's the same fight. We are all struggling in different areas, but we're united in the same desire for freedom and justice. So I thank you for coming out today. Let's keep fighting. I do want to mention this, and I don't always mention it, but it was mentioned when I was introduced. I am running for the Senate. Yes, I'm running for the United States Senate. And I'm running against Menendez, who will not stand for a ceasefire. I ran against Booker in 2020, who today will not stand for a ceasefire. We have to start putting people in office that come out of our movement and that we can count on to stand for justice. And I stand here with you today. So I hope that you will help our campaign, which is a campaign not just to get one person elected. If that was it, I wouldn't even be running. This is part and parcel of the effort to build a movement for social transformation at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level. I have to get 1,000 signatures or petitions to get on the ballot. I hope you will sign my petition so that we can get on the ballot, so that we can have somebody in the U.S. Senate that's not afraid to stand up. I didn't wait till January. I didn't wait till February to call for a ceasefire. I didn't wait till December to call for a ceasefire. I didn't wait till November to call for a ceasefire. I didn't wait until 28,000 were dead to call for a ceasefire. I called for a ceasefire days after October the 7th because I knew it was going to be a genocidal war. I knew what was going on. How could Biden wrap his arms around Netanyahu, who just days before October 7th, thousands and thousands of Israelis were in the street protesting against Netanyahu? He was a right-wing fascist then. He's a right-wing fascist now. And I say to Biden that if you continue on this course, you're already on this course, that your hands, Biden, will be dripping with blood. Kamala Harris, your hands will be dripping with blood as long as you continue to try to aid this apartheid regime in Israel. So brothers and sisters, don't be deterred by these people. That's the same thing. You see how this person is acting? That's the same way white people acted when black people protested against segregation. It's the same, that's the same way they acted when Martin Luther King marched in Chicago. They threw rocks at Dr. King. Nobody wants to talk about that. So don't be afraid of people who try to denounce us for protesting. We're protesting today, we'll protest tomorrow, and we'll protest